the Princess of Shadow, the true ruler of Twilight, Midna, is hands down the most developed and fleshed out companion character in the Zelda series to date. While first impressions of this little imp will have you questioning whether you even like her as a character, by the end of the game, she'll be your absolute favorite. Welcome back to Zelda Character Study. Today we're looking at what makes Midna such a fan favorite character, and why, despite Link being the player character, she may be the true protagonist of this game. The first time we see Midna is during the early hours of the game, when Link, in wolf form, is imprisoned in Hyrule Castle. She appears as a dark little imp with an agenda of her own, who toys with and manipulates Link into an almost servant-like role in exchange for freeing him from his imprisonment. She taunts and goads Link constantly and pushes him forward through the early hours of the game. However, the truth is that Midna actually sees Link even earlier than this, watching from a distance, and her entanglement with the game's plot extends even further back than that, before the game even begins. So let's take a look at Midna through the chronological order of events. What we don't find out until much later is that Midna is cursed. Her true form is not the small impish figure that we spend most of the game with, but rather a tall, regal woman. She is the descendant of a royal house and ruler of the Twilight Realm, the leader of the Twilight people, a race that sometime in the distant past was banished from Hyrule for their use of dark magic. But Midna and many other denizens of this other dimension found a peaceful life there, living in the serene beauty of the Twilight Realm. But not all shared that sense of contentment. Zant, a servant of the royal house, found himself empowered by a being who he viewed as a god, and used his newfound strength to usurp the throne, curse Midna, and initiate the Twilight invasion of Hyrule. Midna finds herself now an outcast, but not one without a plan. She knows the legends of her people, which indicate that a hero would appear as a divine beast. Not that kind of divine beast, though. And although Link doesn't know it at the time, she is present here in Faron Woods to witness his initial transformation into wolf form. And so she hatches a plan. Using her knowledge of her people's history, she realizes that she can make use of a collection of relics, one of which she already had in her possession back in the Twilight Realm, the Fused Shadows. The other 3 pieces of this relic are here in Hyrule, and if she can get this hero to do her work for her where she can't, since she can only exist as a shadow in the light world, then she can reassemble the fused shadow and use it against Sant. So she follows the Shadow Beast that carries Link from Faron Woods to Hyrule Castle. And this is actually where the player meets her, as she frees Link from his chains and helps him escape on the condition that he be obedient to her. In a sense, even though she breaks the chain to release Link, the shackle around his leg remains, almost like a metaphor or a constant reminder of his debt and servitude to his new companion. Midna comes across here as sinister, manipulative, and commanding. She appears as a dark, mysterious figure, forcing her own agenda upon our hero, even using imagery of Link's friends and the children of the village in terror as a way to motivate him. But even this early on, the conversation between Midna and Zelda hints at something more sincere and uncertain beneath the surface. Like this mischievous giggling imp is a facade, a mask she wears to appear strong. But when she is confronted by serious inquiry, one which may reveal her identity, she turns her back, her body language closes off, and she feigns ignorance. Midna will take Link back to Ordon, tasking him with gathering a sword and shield for her to use, essentially forcing him to steal from his own neighbors before they return to Faron Woods. Here, Midna keeps up her sinister act, even goading Link somewhat about the lamentations of the light spirit Faron. And so the story goes. As Link's companion during the first act of the game, Midna somewhat backseat drives as Link gathers the Tears of Light to help the light spirits, explores dungeons, and recovers the fused shadows. All the while, she plays coy and even explicitly withholds information from Link about who she is and what the fused shadows are. That is until the last fused shadow is found. Midna's tone shifts slightly here. With her goal accomplished, she asks Link not to resent her, since their goals to overthrow Zant are aligned after all. She even apologizes to Link for bringing him through all of these ordeals, because she isn't a bad person. She just is willing to do anything to meet her goals, and now that she has done so, wishes to part ways on good terms. That is, until Zant shows up. He curses Link with the Shadow Crystal and discards the fused shadows from Midna's possession. He attempts to talk Midna into allegiance, but she won't bite, saying that he abuses the magic of their tribe. Since he can't turn her to his side, he instead exposes her to the light of the spirit Lanayru, dispelling the twilight that he just cast over Hyrule. Lanayru warps Link and Midna outside to safety, but the damage is already done. This light energy is lethal to Midna, and she is essentially on the brink of death here. As was pointed out to me in a previous video, even her appearance here is almost like a photo negative, showing that something is just not right. She isn't even able to form coherent sentences. All she can manage to get out is that she wants Link to bring her to Princess Zelda. Link, being ever the benevolent hero, despite being cursed himself, puts Midna's life before his own, and braves the journey to Hyrule Castle, through the waterways, and across the rooftops. Now, I've already discussed this section of the game at length in my previous video about the music of this section, Midna's Lament, so it's worth watching that video as well if you're curious about how the music here intertwines with these characters and their theming. But long story short, this is a major turning point for these two characters and their relationship. Midna has already accepted her fate. When we reach Zelda, we learn that Midna did not want us to come here to save herself, but instead to find out how to break the curse on Link. Both of these two are cursed, simply trying to help each other rather than themselves. Zelda knows that the power to break the curse on Link lies within the Master Sword, and so she suggests heading to Faron Woods to find it. And Midna, having accepted her fate, is happy with this resolution. She only makes one final request, that Zelda tell Link how to find the Mirror of Twilight, so that he can help her people. It's at this point that Zelda clues in, and now, understanding just who Midna is, decides instead to transfer her own life force over to Midna and save her. This not only revives the imp, but allows her to exist in the world of light as more than a mere shadow. Moved by the sacrifices that both Link and Zelda have made just to help her, Midna finds new resolve and dedicates herself to not just save her own people, but to save Hyrule too. Of course, Link does find the Master Sword per Zelda's instructions, which expels the dark magic from his body. Midna witnesses as Link is able to extract the blade, shocked that the sword accepts Link. After this, she decides she still wants to seek out the Mirror of Twilight to save her people and Hyrule, and asks that Link come with her. No longer is she trying to manipulate or command him. She simply asks him with almost meek body language to accompany her. From this point, the two grow together as friends, and Midna is willing to open up to Link. As they reach the Gerudo Desert, she tells him about her people's history and her home in the Twilight Realm. She asks Link yet again to go with her, which he agrees to. The two are able to find the mirror at Arbiter's Grounds, but the relic is already broken. It's at this point that the sages appear and reveal that Ganondorf is the source of Zant's power. Though she expresses her frustrations here, the sages are able to set the duo on the right path to recover the mirror fragments and repair it, which they are able to do. All the while, Midna's tone, her manner of speaking, gradually becomes more and more thoughtful and friendly towards Link, a far cry from the manipulative and mischievous nature that she initially displayed. She even shows concern for Yetta after the Yeti is transformed into Blazetta, worrying that the power of the mirror left unchecked might cause a great deal of harm, and even later saying that this might be something they ultimately have to destroy. Finally, when the mirror is reassembled, the sages appear once more, addressing Midna by her proper title, the Twilight Princess. She confesses to Link then, her true role as ruler of the Twilight people, and how she was usurped, cursed, and cast out by Zant. Clearly, she feels shame, dishonor even about these events, and so even when the pair arrive at her home, the Palace of Twilight, she asks Link if she can continue to hide in his shadow, even calling herself a hideous little imp and believing that her people would feel let down at the sight of her. While some may view this as vanity, I don't think that's the case. Midna stops Link from attacking any Twilight people who seem to be halfway through being transformed into shadow beasts by Zant, and her motivations from the start have always been to help her people. She seems to genuinely care a great deal. So no, not vanity, but self-consciousness. She feels ashamed that she was cast out and not able to help her people sooner. After the pair make their way through the palace and confront Zant, it's Midna who lands the killing blow. After Zant provokes her, calling her a traitor, she points out the irony of this statement, since, he was the power-hungry usurper here. She states that Zant's lust for power was his undoing, just like their ancestors who were exiled to the Twilight Realm in the first place. Zant in turn taunts her by saying that the curse that transformed her into her imp form can't be broken by killing him, as his power is tied to Ganondorf. She loses her cool, lashing out at him with the fused shadow, completely ending him. Midna shows here that she is not as callous as she may have tried to appear. She is in fact horrified by the power that she wields and how easily she was able to kill Zant with, as she states, only a fraction of her power. She even takes a moment to either mourn or reflect on this, it seems, before snapping back and stating that the duo needs to hurry back to Hyrule to rescue Zelda. Fast forward to Hyrule Castle, and the duo meet Ganondorf in the throne room. For Midna, this meeting is deeply personal, since it was Ganondorf who empowered Zant to usurp her. Ganondorf goads Midna a bit, but she has no problem firing back, calling him conceited, and saying that even if he's chosen by the gods themselves, that she will still oppose him. Ganondorf, being the calculated warlord that he is here, finds this all very amusing, and accurately states that shadow has been moved by light. And he's right. When Ganondorf goes to target Zelda, Midna throws herself in the way as a sort of human shield, and when he passes by her and possesses the Princess of Hyrule, Midna can't bring herself to actually attack Zelda. However, once Link has finished doing battle with the corrupted sovereign, Midna is able to use the fused shadow to purge Ganondorf from her body. She's then able to assist Link in the fight against Dark Beast Ganon, being the one to point out to Link that Ganon is changing his tactics and quickly devising a new strategy herself. She shows impressive strength here, being able to hold her own against this dark beast and toss him to the side. With Ganon defeated, Midna is able to return Zelda's life force, reviving the Princess of Hyrule. However, Ganondorf in pure malice form reappears and challenges the trio. In a move of self-sacrifice, Midna warps the pair of Hylians out of the castle, and using the fused shadow, challenges Ganondorf herself. While their battle plays out off-screen, we know that she does not win. An explosion rocks the castle, and Ganondorf emerges with Midna's iconic helmet in hand, breaking it. Though Ganondorf turns out to be no match for the hero, Link is able to kill him by plunging the Master Sword into his existing wound that he sustained from his botched execution at the hands of the sages. With this conflict over, the Light Spirits appear briefly, having seemingly revived Midna, but as Zant had mentioned earlier, since the curse on Midna was tied to Ganon, who just died, she now appears in her true form. Though she is still distinctly Midna, the first thing she does upon seeing Link again is tease him, saying that she's so beautiful that she's left him speechless. This reunion is short-lived, however, as we find out after the credits that Link and Zelda escorted Midna back to the Mirror of Twilight, and as she passes through the portal back to her home, she uses her power as the true ruler of the Twilight Realm to utterly destroy the mirror, severing the connection between the two worlds. It's not entirely clear why she does this, but my assumption is that this is to keep both worlds safe from each other. Should an evil power like Ganondorf or Zant rise again, they then would not be able to invade or attack the other realm. Or perhaps after witnessing the power of the mirror to corrupt others or draw in enormous monsters, perhaps she felt the relic was simply too dangerous to be left lying around. But that's my guess. And with that, Midna is gone forever. So what do we learn about Midna through all of this? She's with you through almost the entire game, and her change is so gradual that you may not notice it as you play. That is until reaching the end of the game and reflecting back on your journey, or starting over and seeing where Midna was at during the beginning. But you get so much time with this character, and it's so incredible to see an arc this well written. So first off, Midna is incredibly powerful and intelligent. She's almost something of a natural tactician in her own right. During enemy encounters and boss fights, she is quick to point out a foe's weakness or devise a strategy for Link. She's also not as callous as she comes off. Though she puts on a tough and mischievous face initially, my feeling is that this is somewhat of an act to compensate. Before the events of the game even start, Midna has been through a lot, including being usurped from the throne, cursed, and cast out of her homeland. She's basically been tossed into another dimension that is completely different from her home. But she still sees opportunity here in Link, and wants to use that to her advantage to liberate her homeland. As she states later on when reflecting upon this, she doesn't care about Link or Hyrule at the start of the adventure. This is foreign land to her, she doesn't know these people. Her priority is always to her own people first. But as the story goes on and she witnesses the constant sacrifices that Link and Zelda endure, she is moved by this. Even on the brink of death, what she believes will be her last act is to at least point Link in the right direction towards a way to break the curse on himself. Though this does work out, this was a pivotal moment for Midna, and after this point, her mischievous and manipulative facade is entirely dropped. Commands are replaced by requests, and mischievous giggles make way for sincere conversation. The dialogue with Midna after this point is just far more down to earth, and we see that she has endured a lot of emotional pain. She demonstrates resilience, appreciation for beauty, and a huge capacity for true friendship and sacrifice. However, above all of that, her sense of duty towards her home and her people shines through brightest. It's no wonder that her power to destroy the Mirror of Twilight manifests as a tear, as even though it's the right and safest decision to protect both Hyrule and the Twilight Realm, it comes at the cost of her friendship, of ever seeing Link again, a parting which is so emotionally difficult that she can't even bring herself to say a proper goodbye before fading away. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before we end this, I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to my patrons and channel members, including but not limited to Tetra, Brenda, Justin, Callie, Greymage, Hylian Wes, Gale, Ethan3G, and Clifford. Thank you all so much for the support and for watching, and I will catch you all next time. Bye bye!